Stop pretending to be mom. A failure who couldn't make it into med school is just embarrassing. Get out. She wasn't always this cruel. Ever since entering middle school, it feels like Grace has been heading in a strange direction. Focusing on studies and improving grades is good. Wanting to be number one in everything is very much like Grace. But that doesn't mean everything is permissible. Doesn't she realize there are things, even between parent and child, that should and shouldn't be said? It seems like she believes it's okay to hurt others to get her way. I decided it was too much and had to speak up. Well, I'm not your real mom, after all. I was furious and decided to tell Grace the truth. Then, Grace looked surprised. Huh? I think Grace is confused, but it's time she knew the truth. It seems she's been dazzled by money and fame, ignoring what truly matters. I hoped she would have a change of heart, but maybe it's too late for my feelings to reach her. People who don't understand others' feelings end up not succeeding in anything. Grace needs to reflect on her actions and realize it's too late for regrets. I'm Lily, and I'll be 38 this year. I live with my husband and daughter, working at the town hall next door during the day. Having worked since graduating high school, I guess I'm considered mid-career in this job. I've come to think this job suits me, despite never originally wanting to work at a town hall. Because I didn't originally want to work in a government office. To explain why someone who didn't want to work in a town hall has been doing it for 20 years, let's start with my family background. I grew up in a family of 4 with my dad, mom, my sister Amelia, and me. Amelia was academically gifted, always top of her class, and aimed for the highly competitive medical school. She got in on her first try, but we didn't realize how expensive medical school would be. Beyond tuition, there were costs for experiments, practical training, and living expenses for living alone, never enough money, it seemed. But Dad and Mom were proud and didn't want her to give up her dream, managing on a modest income. Their struggle was evident even to me, still in high school at the time. Moving to the city for medical school, Amelia changed drastically, unbeknownst to our family. Previously focused solely on her studies. She became more interested in fashion and socializing once living alone in the city. Each time she came home for the holidays, she seemed more polished, and I, still living at home, felt odd watching her thrive. I had a bad feeling watching Amelia, who had never cared for fashion, become more beautiful. Meanwhile, I was determined to become a nurse. Inspired by the kindness of a nurse during a hospital stay. One day, I confided in Amelia, home for a visit. She laughed at me. A nurse? Really, Lily? Just a helper beneath doctors. To think you'd want that, you're really odd. Amelia dismissed my dreams with a wave of her hand. Well, good luck with that, I guess. Her words were a shock, but they didn't deter me from my dreams. Despite studying hard, I fell ill on the day of the university exam and failed. The disappointment was huge, but seeing my parents struggle to support Amelia, I couldn't broach the topic of further education or retaking the exam. I didn't want to burden them further. That's all I wanted to avoid. That's when I saw the hiring notice for the town hall next door and decided to work instead of pursuing college. Though I had wanted to be a nurse, I realized that wasn't the only path in life. Above all, working at the town hall as a civil servant means I won't suddenly lose my job or income. Plus, after starting this job, I realized it suits me surprisingly well, and I find my daily work fulfilling. When I couldn't get into nursing school, it felt like the lowest point of misfortune. Now, I think failing to get into college might have led me to a rewarding and fulfilling job. One day at home, I was 20 years old. It was a Friday, and I was thinking about what to do on the upcoming 3-day weekend while eating dinner. Then, I heard someone enter through the front door, and rushing to the entrance, I found Amelia standing there. "Oh, it's you, Amelia. Welcome back." Amelia entered the house silently, looking like she was about to cry. "What's wrong?" "Something happened, didn't it?" Initially silent, Amelia gradually started to talk. According to her, she was pregnant. I remembered her mentioning her boyfriends every time she came home, but it seemed like a different person each time. "So, you're pregnant with your boyfriend's child?" "Yes, what should I do?" "The guy you talked about last time?" "No, someone from way back. I don't even know." In short, after cycling through boyfriends, she ended up pregnant without knowing who the father is. What, really? What are you going to do about the baby? And college? I can't just quit now. It's too late for any other options. She had been wondering why her period hadn't come, only to find out she was pregnant. Being careless by nature, she didn't realize her pregnancy until it was too late to consider other options. But the baby will be born, right? You have to think about what to do. "Please, Lily, help me." Faced with Amelia's desperate plea, I thought it over. Fortunately, as I had started working before Amelia and had some income and free time, could I take on the child rearing in her place? But I wondered, could I even raise a child? "Look, the baby hasn't done anything wrong, right? Help me." Certainly, the unborn child is innocent, and crushing Amelia's dream of becoming a doctor isn't an option. Since I wanted to pursue a medical career and Amelia is striving in that field, I should support her in any way I can. "I have to become a doctor." "You're a civil servant with free time, you could help." Though Amelia's reasoning irritated me, I couldn't just abandon the child. Considering Amelia's immature state, raising a child seemed challenging. "All right, leave the baby to me. But remember, you're the mom. Make sure to visit and take over when you're ready." I know. Take care of everything until then, okay?" The heavy atmosphere disappeared, and Amelia seemed relieved all of a sudden. Despite thinking how selfish she was, I had no other choice at the time. Amelia named her daughter Grace and left her in my care. "Take good care of Grace for me. I'll come to check on her." After saying that, Amelia never visited Grace. I occasionally sent messages, but never received a reply. It's as if Grace has no idea who her real mom is. I decided to treat Grace as my own daughter. Grace is Amelia's child, but truly adorable. I resolved to give her all the love I could, including Amelia's share. When Grace was 2, I got married to my boyfriend at the time. He proposed, fully understanding that I was raising my sister's child. His affection for Grace as his own was a deciding factor in our marriage. Grace seems to think of my husband as her real dad. I try my best with parenting, but it's often challenging. My husband works all day and can't participate in child rearing. Naturally, it's mostly up to me. I wonder if Grace feels something about her dad not being around much. She started to rebel against me in every way possible. They say girls develop early, but I didn't expect the rebellious phase to come this quickly. Our clashes became more frequent, yet my only wish was for Grace to make the best choices. I wanted to do everything possible for Grace's sake. Of course, I kept working to cover the expenses for Grace. In her 6th year of elementary school, Grace expressed her desire to apply to a private school. "I want to take the entrance exam." "An entrance exam? What brought this on all of a sudden?" "The uniform is cute, and I thought it'd be nice to wear it." Indeed, it was a private school known for its cute uniform, but it also had a strong academic focus, making it hard to get in. It's going to take a lot of hard work to get in. Can you manage? Yes. I'll do my best. Despite struggling, she studied and passed. Congratulations, Grace. You did it. I'm so happy I passed. Enrolling in a girls' school transformed Grace beyond recognition. Driven by the need to keep up, she threw herself into her studies. Perhaps her competitive nature meant the girls' school was a good fit for her. But it's also possible that this competitiveness started to take a strange turn around this time. Grace became obsessed with getting good grades. Inherited from her mom, her competitiveness twisted her personality as her grades improved. I just can't believe people who don't study and just laze around. It's like they have no reason to live if they stay stupid. Grace, life is full of different paths and talents. It's not for you to decide someone has no value based on one aspect. That's the kind of soft talk that keeps you from being at the top, going to a good university, and earning money. What's wrong with that? What's gotten into you lately? Being good at studies doesn't make someone better. It's clear she's Amelia's daughter, thinking only those who excel in studies are superior. Grace, following in Amelia's footsteps, decided to aim for medical school. The way to earn as a woman is to be a nurse, right? With a qualification, you can live. Though Grace doesn't know Amelia, her mom, it seems blood cannot be denied. I did everything I could to support Grace's ambitions. Tuition and exam fees were no joke, but it was all for Grace's dream. However, Grace seemed to take my support for granted. Worse, she started lashing out at me over anything she disliked. One day, Grace called me from her tutoring class. "Hey Mom, can you pick me up?" "What's wrong all of a sudden? Did you forget your bus pass?" Grace usually took the bus to her tutoring classes, so her sudden request made me wonder. "No, it's just starting to drizzle a bit." "Drizzle? Oh, right. There's a foldable umbrella in your bag, you know?" Grace sighed heavily over the phone. "Don't you care if I catch a cold? You're so inconsiderate. This is why I hate having a dumb mom." Her disregard for how her words might affect others disappointed me. "But Mom's busy at work today, and it's going to be a late night. It's a busy season, after all." "Huh? Even though I'm asking you like this, you won't come? What if I get sick because of some job anyone can do?" I could almost see her blaming me over the phone. But this wasn't an isolated incident. Whether it's her rebellious phase or she's looking down on me, Grace's condescending attitude persisted. We once had a discussion with my husband about her need to change her behavior, but it seems she doesn't care anymore. She seems to believe that being academically gifted makes her superior. Being praised as a top student at school probably fuels her misconceptions. However, with the unpredictable nature of exams, I thought it best not to provoke Grace further and kept my thoughts to myself. Amelia, her real mom, remains completely out of touch. Too busy with her work, my attempts to contact her are ignored. Recently, Amelia has become a popular cosmetic surgeon on TV and in magazines, so her busyness is understandable, but does that mean she doesn't care about her own daughter? Wondering what Amelia would do in my place, I continued to support Grace in any way I could. Grace must be going through her rebellious phase or something, making everything more challenging. I hoped that once this phase passed, we could have pleasant conversations again. But little did I know, my hopes would soon be shattered. As the college entrance exam season began, Grace became more tense than ever. Given the significance of college entrance exams, her stress was understandable. Having experienced failing to perform due to poor health during my exams, I didn't want Grace to go through the same. I did everything I could to support her, yet every time we met, she would glare or click her tongue at me. Though it was frustrating, I reminded myself it was all for Grace. After all her hard work, Grace successfully passed her college entrance exams. Ah, finally done with exams. Now I'm a college girl. Well done. I always believed you would make it. Well, it was expected of me. The real problem began after that. Grace took her newfound freedom as a college student a bit too far. Her life became disordered the day after she found out she passed. She started sleeping in until noon and snacking in bed without ever putting down her phone. I considered overlooking it, thinking she deserved a break after her studious lifestyle. However, her erratic attendance at school and disordered lifestyle soon became too concerning to ignore. Continuing this way would only hurt Grace once her new life started. Moreover, she seemed to be using my debit card for shopping without permission. After seeing unfamiliar transactions on last month's statement and asking Grace, I was shocked to learn she had made the purchases. Look, I get you're happy about getting into college, but your recent behavior is too much. Your daily rhythm is a mess. I just want to enjoy the rest of my high school life my way since I passed. Enjoying life your way means shopping with my debit card without asking? Ugh, I needed the card for sites that only accept it. Can't believe you're making a big deal out of it, Mom. So typical. Grace wasn't pleased to be scolded. I actually wanted to live on my own. This was a sudden revelation after finishing her entrance exams. Grace planned to commute from home to the college she got into. A solo life? Why bring this up now? We're not even discussing that. I wanted to experience college life freely, but I can't since the college I got into is within commuting distance. Although she was initially happy about her first choice college, it seemed she was disappointed she couldn't live on her own because it was close to home. If I lived alone, I wouldn't have to hear all this nagging. Once Grace got upset, it was hard to cheer her up. But I couldn't stay silent after witnessing her recent behavior. Then, Grace dropped a bombshell. Stop pretending to be Mom. A med school dropout is just embarrassing, so get out. What? Why? You know. You clung to whatever job you could after failing med school, right? I was stunned by Grace's words. Frozen, unable to respond, Grace, thinking I had no comeback, continued her tirade. I found your exam application in the bookshelf. Acting all high and mighty after failing med school. I had kept the exam form as a bitter reminder and bookmark in my bookshelf. I never imagined Grace would use it against me. Look, that's not relevant now. You're the one always lecturing. It'd be great if you left, then I could do what I want. Dad's hardly ever home anyway, so it's practically like living alone. Pointing towards the door, Grace told me to leave. Go on, get out. It's embarrassing to be seen with someone as dumb as you. A daughter in her rebellious phase, upset and defiant. Should I be okay with thinking that way? But I had reached my limit of patience. I couldn't believe she was talking without any sense of what's appropriate to say or not. It was time to tell her the truth. You know, it's probably natural that I can't understand your feelings. Huh? What's that all of a sudden? Well, I'm not your real mom. Grace looked at me, unable to hide her surprise. No wonder. I had kept silent to avoid hurting her. But there was no longer any reason to be so considerate. So, I'm not your real mom. Maybe I should say I had no obligation to do everything for you? Huh? Don't you understand what I'm saying? What? You're giving up everything now? Aren't you supposed to want to support your child as a mom? I pulled out my mobile phone and told Grace. Do you want to know who your real mom is? It's Amelia. Have you seen her on TV? Wait, that Amelia? The cosmetic surgeon known as the once-in-a-millennium beauty? Yes. Recently, she's been described like that on TV. That's your real mom. Grace looked at my phone incredulously, apparently searching for Amelia. Why? How? Why don't you ask your real mom that? Grace started pacing the room with her phone. So, Amelia lives in one of the most affluent areas downtown, with rooms full of brand bags and one dedicated to beauty, as seen on TV, and that's supposed to be my real home? Wait, you want to go live with your real mom? I asked Grace. Obviously. I refuse to stay in this poor-looking house. A poor-looking house, huh? I'm sick of living with such an unpleasant mom. I thought I could finally live my own life if you just left. While looking at her phone, she continued. No way, Amelia is my mom? Is this some kind of miracle? I guess I don't need you anymore. Grace pointed at me and laughed. Even I couldn't hold back my anger anymore. It's understandable she might think that way just from seeing Amelia's public persona. But Amelia is someone who didn't raise her own child. One would think she might question why she wasn't raised by Amelia. Grace didn't. She simply blamed me. I get it. You've made it clear you think poorly of me. Maybe your real mom should pay your tuition then? Of course. With her wealth, she should easily afford it. So, you think that? I've raised you till now, but from now on, you can go back to your real mom. I'll have nothing to do with it. Then, Grace looked at me with a troubled look and hit a random douche. Grace responded nonchalantly. Fine, I'd be glad to be rid of someone as awful as you. I presented a piece of paper. Then sign here. It states you're leaving this house, will have no further contact with me, and relinquish any rights to inheritance or anything else. That's fine with you, right? All this talk of inheritance as if you have anything significant to offer. You're good with words, at least. Grace signed the document. Here, is this good? I silently accepted the documents. As soon as the documents were signed, Grace left the house promptly. The address you gave me is where I should go, right? I'm relieved and excited to join the elite. Grace left without looking back. I should think this was for the best. In fact, I was about to come into a significant sum of money. My recently deceased parents owned some land, and selling it was going to bring in a considerable amount. With Grace's tuition and the never-ending need for money, I had braced myself to sell the land. However, Grace voluntarily signed away her rights, so it was her decision. Life without Grace didn't change much for me. Around mid-March, I received a call from Grace. Hey, could you send me some money? Why the change of heart? Didn't you say you didn't need money because your real mom has plenty? Then Grace, trying to hold back tears, pleaded over the phone. No, I might not be able to go to college anymore. It seemed Grace hadn't yet paid the entrance fee or any other required funds for the college she was accepted into. What do you mean? You can't enroll without paying the entrance fee and other necessary fees, right? Huh? You know that and still ask? How shameless. I had already heard about it. Amelia's wrongdoings were exposed by gossip magazines, leading to a significant decrease in her work. Furthermore, she had made a serious medical error, causing her reputation as a cosmetic surgeon to plummet. I saw on TV about the medical error. After such a mistake, I doubt anyone would seek her services. Is now really the time to talk as if it's someone else's problem? What about my tuition? Why don't you ask your real mom to take care of it? I'm practically a stranger now. Grace raised her voice from the other end, So, it's okay for me to be doomed? Even though I got into med school? Whether you go to college or med school doesn't concern me. It should concern you. I'm your daughter, aren't I? Well, I didn't ask you to go to med school. Besides, you were the one who said not to act like your mom. Over the phone, Grace seemed lost for words. But I said that because… Surely you were happy to get into med school, right? But don't you know there are things you should and shouldn't say? Not everything is forgivable, even from a mom. I don't get that. Despite Grace sounding like she was about to cry, I felt it was necessary to speak my mind. I guess it's hard to understand all of a sudden. Can we meet to talk? I can meet. I want to see Mom. After all she did while at home, now she wants her mom. Grace's actions weren't justifiable as mere rebellion or stress. Conveying the harsh truth might be a form of kindness. I arrived at the place where I promised to meet Grace. Holding a thick paper bag, I saw Grace running towards me. I'm glad. The deadline for the tuition payment is the day after tomorrow. As she spoke her first words, I observed Grace, unchanged. So, where's the money? Grace extended her palm towards me. I placed the documents I had taken out of the paper bag into her hand. What's this? These are the documents we agreed upon. Documents? What are you talking about? Don't you remember? You'll understand if you look at them. I pointed to the documents that already had her signature, severing our parent-child relationship and renouncing any claims to inheritance. I was only taking care of you. I'm not your mom. You're the one who said I'm not your mom, right? True, but… After casually saying things you shouldn't and hurting someone, expecting help only when in trouble, that's not how it works. I placed my hand on Grace's trembling shoulder and said, You were the one who chose to sever the parent-child ties and renounce everything to go to your real mom. Own up to your words. Just because I said it. So, what now? I'm not at fault? Yes. Maybe I was a bit wrong, but I was stressed. Stressed. Grace started to justify her actions as if making excuses. So, saying unacceptable things because of exam stress and hurting others is okay? It wasn't supposed to hurt, it was just a joke. Grace spoke uncomfortably, still not realizing the gravity of her actions. No matter how much I talk to Grace, all she can say is self-centered, and I'm really disappointed in her. Look, I need a mom to become a doctor. Needing a mom only when it suits you. Learn the consequences of truly hurting someone. What? Are you serious? What will happen to me? I walked away. Grace remained crouched, looking down, but I didn't look back. Eventually, Grace couldn't pay for her college and didn't enroll. Scholarship processes couldn't be arranged so quickly, so either way, she wouldn't have been able to enroll. Someone who can't truly understand others' feelings becoming a doctor is concerning. Later, Amelia tried to contact me, but I blocked her without a second thought. Like mother, like daughter, only reaching out when in trouble, despite never bothering before. Now, I'm enjoying life with my husband. And working towards my longtime dream. I remembered my desire to become a nurse. Though I can handle my current job due to long tenure, it's not what I truly wanted. Rather than finding something rewarding and stable, I would like to take on the challenge of something that has been a dream of mine for many years. That's what I thought. I decided to pursue my dream, even at this age. However, I no longer keep a lid on what I want to do and keep it locked away in the back of my mind. Well, let's continue studying for the university entrance exam today.